Hello everyone. It's I can hear echo. It is only me.
But it is okay for me. So.
Oh yeah, that's better. It was all Tomek fault. Hello everyone. My name is Magda, and I'm going to moderate today's meeting. Sulejman will take notes for me, and you should already see screen sharing. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started screen sharing.
Yeah. Okay, so let's briefly go through agenda. We have a few points over there. So first one is current status and next priorities by Adam. Next one, overview of recent changes in the test infra repository, and it is by Carolina. So I guess it is about documentation in test infra repository.
Oh yes, I forgot to mention it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's about documentation.
You are not anonymous when it comes to that topic, so yeah.
Yes.
Next one is info about new jobs in test infra repository by Sulejman, and last one will be GKA integration job status and further plans by Tomasz. And that will be it in our agenda. So I can pass on to Adam.
Okay, let's start with the review what has been done in the recent week. As you can see, 16 pull requests were merged in the test infra repository, so it's some kind of record. And also new 8 issues were created. Let's have a look on board. On board in the to accept column, we have following issues. First is to simplify applying jobs configuration after provisioning Pro cluster. So probably you remember that at some time we decided to split our configuration to separate files, and after that change we were unable to use our scripts to validate our configuration and also update them. So in this pull request we're solving that problem. And we have also done static analysis tool for our shell scripts. Next one is this proposal for a release process. So maybe the title is a little bit misleading, but in this story we want to describe how we can support release process in the Pro from the technical point of view, and here we describe potential solutions. And we also have 2 documentation tasks which were done by Carolina, and she today presented with more details. And in the review column we have threat modeling issue, and also recently we noticed that sometimes our Kyma integration job fails because zone has not enough resources. So here we want to mitigate that problem somehow. And maybe let's have a look on the presentation which I show you on the previous meeting, where we defined that our next goal is to enable migration of components, and we have some prerequisites what we need to do before that. So first we have at least one working example. We have 2 blockers for that. First, it was the issue about proposal for release process. So this issue is currently in the accept column. And we need to define post-submit job for UI IP layer. And previously we said that is easy PC, but unfortunately we noticed that on post-submit jobs we are unable to configure run if change parameter. And this can cause in the situation that after merging to the master, all our components will be rebuilt. So probably so far we can accept that, but we also create an issue to somehow support such situation from the build pack perspective and add some checks there. Also, we ask a question on the Kubernetes Pro Slack channel, what they do not support that, and they started discussion. So, but as far as I understand, it will be not solved so quickly because it requires some bigger changes. But that problem then that does not block us. So currently we are able to define post-submit. Next prerequisite was documentation, and currently we have in progress issue about preparing documentation how to define pipeline for component, and as a bonus we also are in the progress of migrating one of the component. So and that probably quite will be fixed soon. And the last point is that we need we need to define jobs for the test infra repository, and this task is also in progress. And today Suleiman will present you results. That's all what I want to say. Do you have any questions?
Just one question, because I don't know if I understood correctly. This issue number 58 you mentioned, it means that for the time being we will on merge to master we will just build all components. Is that correct? Or
yes.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Thanks. So if there is no more questions, thank you, and I will stop sharing.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Next point is by Carolina and documentation.
Yep. Okay, so let me share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so basically I would like to give you an overview of changes I made in my last pull request, and I restructured the existing README files, the whole repo, and I also added some new ones, and I kept with the simple structure in which I gave an overview, a short overview of the folders and subfolders, and also the project or the folder structures, like you see here. So in the main README document, I provided already some information about the Pro, and I gave the links also to the main README and the general documents that are going to be placed now in the docs and the Pro subfolder. In the Pro README, I gave a bit of information about what Pro is, what are the basic rules when working with Pro. So I used the information that were already there, but most of that I extracted actually to the docs folder. So basically, if you are going to update any files or add anything, work with it, try to update the structure if that fits you. And when you're going to provide any general documents regarding Pro, the infrastructure on the architecture like Ika is working on at the moment, just put it out there. And we also have the main README in the Pro subfolder where you can actually add it to the list of the documents we've got already. Okay, so we have the release process, the document about the service accounts and the service management, the service account management. And we also have the configuration and the installation guides that guys prepared some time ago. And maybe with just one more information for the READMEs, because I'm not quite sure if you are familiar with the guidelines we have, so I will use the time to say a few words about them. So we basically have the style and standards guides and also about the formatting. When you're adding some diagrams, I would really recommend you to have a look at the one as well. And the same is with the main README. So I used the structure, and you can find it in the community repo under the templates. So if you're going to just try to follow that. So that's all on my end.
Are there any questions to documentation? Okie dokie. Thank you, Carolina.
Thanks.
Next topic will be new jobs in test infra repository. Suleiman?
Mm-hmm. Let me quickly share my screen. All right, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. As Adam already explained, this was one of the prerequisites for starting the migration. So I'm just going to present what is the current status. So right now we are going pretty well. Actually, 3 out of 4 are merged. There's just one more job that we want to define, and then we'll be done with it. Okay, what jobs we created? You can find them under testing Prow jobs and the testing for jobs. First one, we have some build pack jobs right now. So for all of our images under this Prow images. So from now on, when you make a change in one of those images, this will trigger a pre-submit job, and which will just build a new image for that folder. And then also you can, it will be published to GCR under PR folder, so you can use that image to for your tests. And then when you merge the PR, modifying one of this, that will trigger the post-submit jobs that we defined here, and which will build and publish the release images, and that's will be it. Yeah, and also we have some more jobs here under testing infra again, this validation jobs. Okay, this one is to validate the scripts. So whenever you make a change in any of the bash script files in the test infra repo, this job will be triggered, and it's using shell check to validate the scripts, and it's a required job. So without this is green, you can't merge the PR. And also we have this validate config job. This was written by Jakub. And what it does is it's if you have a change in one of plugins, config YAML, or just one of the job configuration files, then they will be validated by using config validators provided by Prow. And if there is a problem with it, again, it's required, so you can't merge the PR. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
I have a question. You said that checks are required, but do you have you configured it manually or automatically?
When you don't use the optional true parameter, then it's by default required.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a question about that building Bootstrap image in Bootstrap container. Do you recall our talk about it?
Exactly. We have a meeting with Michal, Hudi, and Andreas today, and that's something that I wanted to discuss there.
Okay, great, perfect. So it will be discussed.
Because we have a chicken and egg problem there.
Yeah.
I'm using Bootstrap image to publish a new image for Bootstrap. And if anyone has a better idea, a better solution, please feel free to discuss with us so that we can improve.
So alternative to it would be to use some kind of image which already has Docker installed. Is that correct?
Exactly.
But as far as I know, this alternative has some might have some security issues. Yeah. So for now, we somehow accepted that we are building Bootstrap image with Bootstrap image in Bootstrap container. Yep. So thank you.
And what is the risk with that?
The risk is that you can't imagine the entire Google registry went out because it was captured by aliens. You can't actually just change it to Docker Hub and repeat the entire procedure because you lack the first initial image. So
Yeah.
actually, that's the only risk, which is kind of small in my opinion. So because yeah, we are using the previous image to build the next one, kind of. So if everything goes away, we don't have this first one, we have to build it manually. That's the only problem. To maybe mention that in case that everything go out, please build the first image kind of manually from Debian, yeah, and then you can follow something like this.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments to that part? I mean, in general, to new jobs. Okay, so I thank you very much, Suleiman, and I guess we can continue with last topic, which is update about integration job. Tomek?
Yes, can you hear me? I think so. The bad news is that we did not manage to finish it. We wanted to do it until this meeting, but we're almost there. What's missing actually is only building Kyma installer image, which is required. But I hope it will be merged soon because we discussed already many issues, and I would like to give you an update on this particular job. So this is the biggest job by far. From all the ones that we have, it's kind of a pipeline, yeah. So it consists of many steps, and actually we should treat it kind of like work in progress or a draft for the job, because the next steps that we would like to do with this job, you can take a look. Of course, there are pull requests. It's a bash script. It's not that big, but there are many supporting bash scripts around it. We want to refactor it so that it will run faster, because the biggest pain with existing Jenkins pipelines are the execution times, especially on pull requests. So I would like, in our next planning, to address this issue and have some time next week to, once this job, in this state as it is, it will be merged, so it will execute all necessary steps. It will run on pull request fine. We'll have first feedback, which is time of execution. We can make some steps parallel, especially creating DNS entries is time consuming. The time of execution is changing from, usually it oscillates around 3 minutes. It can take 5 minutes, 6 minutes. It can take 1.5 minutes. Obviously, it's changing, and we need to create a DNS entry per each run, unless we want to kind of manage pool of DNS addresses, we don't want to do it. Yes, it's simpler to just provision this DNS address, at least for the time being, at the moment, I mean. And so, yeah, we want to shorten the time. To shorten the time, we want to run it parallel, perhaps still using bash. And then we will have a number that we can compare if this parallel running is worth it or not. And once this proves to be worth, we would like to perhaps rewrite this entire pipeline in some better suited tool, maybe Go. Why not? Because then we will have some parallel execution there. Yeah, so Go fits nicely into to solve such a problem, yes? It is why we sometimes might not be able to directly reuse existing jobs that are in test infra. For example, it's now obvious, we forgot about it, that we will still need probably a new image because we need Helm. And Helm is right now not a part of the Bootstrap. And I would assume that we don't want to put Helm there just for this one case. Or we do, I don't know, yeah? These are things like that, yes? So this big pipeline is kind of special. It does much more things than a normal one. So, yeah, I would say we should just continue on that to proceed quickly to get feedback. And then later on, once we will have it working and we will find a way to make it as fast as possible, because actually that's the goal of this pipeline, yes, to support our users, and they don't want to wait. So I would say that's the primary goal. Then could decide about the technology, for example, how to rewrite it, because it's kind of obvious to me that it should be rewritten. At the state it is right now, it's maintainable, it's readable, there is nothing wrong about it, at least from my point of view. You can judge yourself, of course, but in the long run, I would say some better tool, especially for parallel execution, should be used for that pipeline. So the status is, I would kindly ask you to review it. I will post a message on a working group chat once it's ready, because I'm right now rebasing, so some things might not be polished, so to speak, but I believe within an hour or 2 hours I will post a message so that it's ready for review again. I updated the documentation mainly, and yeah, I would like just to merge it and then continue on the topic in the subsequent tasks to improve it. So that's my plan about this pipeline. If you have any feedback, then of course you're welcome. Yeah, that's it, I guess. Any questions?
Okay, one comment from my side. I think that at this point, yeah, as Tomek said, it is the biggest pipeline we have at the moment, but we know that new pipelines are coming, and from my point of view, there is high probability that we will be duplicating functionality in that future pipelines, like for example, post-submit on master, on release pipeline, stuff like that. And at this point, we should at least think if it's not a good time to try to cut this pipeline into smaller chunks. What do you think, guys? To reuse them, like, I don't know, part when Kyma is installing on previously provisioned cluster.
Magda, I couldn't hear for a moment. I don't know about the others.
Which one moment?
From the point you started to talk about splitting the pipeline. Yeah.
Okay. Should I repeat myself or?
Yes, please repeat.
Damn it. Okay, so yeah, I was saying that at this point we should decide whether we want to cut this big pipeline into smaller reusable chunks, like for example installation of Kyma. Then we can use that small job in other pipelines, like for example post-submit on master or release pipeline. I don't know what cost would that be, or how it is easy to chain jobs in pipelines. Maybe you have some experience in that field already.
My understanding was that we have that script library, which at the end contains all that component, let's say, which you can then combine, and we want to have them maybe as Go commands.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong? So that this modularity problem, as this reusability, is coming by having somehow a library in place.
Okay, so your vision would be to not to have few jobs that are somehow orchestrated, but each pipeline is a single job and it executes steps using a reusable Golang library of steps, kind of, yeah. And then we can do what we want in terms of making things parallel or passing arguments from one step to another, something like this. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I mean, what means having? I mean, a pipeline consists of probably of a build pack, Docker container, which is just containing the infrastructure, and that script at the end which gets executed. And
yes, that's correct. And at the moment in the script, you have some steps like, for example, provision cluster, set up DNS, stuff like that. Then we, if I'm not mistaken, installing Tiller itself. Then we are installing Kyma, and at the end we are testing that. So my idea would be to have smaller jobs, like really small job, which, for example, executes install Kyma, or provision cluster, or setup cluster. In that way, we can start building bigger pipelines just to picking up that small jobs and orchestrating them into bigger one.
And is that possible? Also, I understood that with Pro, it's not that easy to orchestrate really pipelines out of other pipelines.
There is an option to specify run after success, one job to run one job after success of other, but it is very simple, so nothing sophisticated can be achieved. So I'm not sure if you will be able to achieve the pipeline with that simple tool.
So it would be something like chaining jobs, right? Okay, yeah, that might be not enough. So I guess that's
just provisioning a cluster after commit to master. Also, I cannot imagine how that can look like, that you have that small fine-grained jobs and just combine them by after success of the other.
Yeah. That in that case, it might be difficult.
And it also can look strange from the perspective of the pull request. So usability. So you will see that there is a job provision cluster. So what does it mean? It will be not obvious that we created such
so you are
chain
saying
of jobs.
So you are saying that on pull request we would see all that jobs,
all that steps.
Yeah.
Also, what will happen if one of the jobs in the middle fails? You know, it might be hard to like deprovision the cluster and perform all the cleanup steps.
Exactly. With the cleanup, there will be a huge problem because you need to somehow coordinate, synchronize between that steps. So you need to store somewhere the common information, and this can be also difficult.
Yeah, that was our let's call it main concern about it. That clean might be difficult.
I think it can be one job, but from the perspective of the repository, you can prepare, as Andreas said, some commands that you just execute that commands and maybe reuse for other pipelines, for other jobs.
Yeah, that might be idea.
Okay, so that's I would say architectural decision here. Okay, that is reasonable to me. It allows for use. However, it might require to come out with a small DSL on our side, because then we need a job definition to either we write a script, okay, and this is our DSL, or we go a bit more abstract and then create DSL that says, okay, now, for example, build the image, then set up networking. In our case, set up networking means reserve IP address and create DNS record with this IP address for some specific name. Then would be, for example, build Kyma installer image. It would be separate commands. We need that to actually test this thing on a cluster because that's our deployable artifact. That's a separate step, and so on. For the time being, I think we can live with a bash script. Yeah. So the only concern would be, but we can work it out, how to, for example, make things parallel and how to make them sequential, because that's what we need for this job. But I guess this is a technical detail that we can find solution for. So okay, we can proceed along this idea to make to extend the library of reusable commands somehow that would perform these steps for us. Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Any other comments to that topic? Okay, guys, do you have any other topics to discuss? Then, thank you very much. Have a nice weekend, happy people. And see you on Tuesday.
Thank you for the moderation.
Thanks, goodbye.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
See ya.